Okay, welcome all the participants for this second session out of the 3 sessions on teaching on the 4 seals and the teaching on dependent origination sutra. And for that matter, setting a proper motivation that makes a huge difference. For refuge field, let us visualize Buddha Shakyamuni, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in space in front of us, so loving, caring, and embracing. Then for the Buddhas in the field, let us visualize your 2 kind parents and all dear mother sentient beings around you. Here you are like the mother, so loving, caring, and embracing. And the purpose of this the class is to undertake a journey from the state of unhappiness to the state of happiness, a journey from the state of misery to the state of fearlessness, from the state of ignorance to the wisdom, from the state of selfishness to compassion. And as we said it before, eventually the seed of perfection, universal compassion, infinite happiness, fearlessness, they're all within each one of us. Our job is just to unravel this treasure within us fully by removing the mental dirt. So with this in mind, let us imagine that you are leading this recitation and all beings are joining you. And if possible, let us take a few seconds to invoke the spirit. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all the dear mother sentient beings. With this spirit of Bodhisattva, let us imagine that you are leading this recitation and all beings are joining you, including your 2 parents, all the family members, including children, and all dear mother sentient beings. And to spread great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And to spread great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And to spread great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, by my accumulations for practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, by my accumulations for the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, by my accumulations for practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. In dependent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, and no sameness. I prostrate to the concept of Buddha, the Supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace, which is free of elaborations. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the Bodhisattvas, and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all lead hearers seeking pacification, complete peace, who through the knowledge of paths cause those helping my greatest to achieve the aims of the world, who through the possession of omniscience helps subdue by expound a variety of teachings. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings, the teacher, Sugata, and protector to your prostrations. the one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines for the forever noble light rays, to you the Buddha make prostrations. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I journey the mind of full awakening for the benefit of sentient beings. And let us recite this mantra. And I know that there are a number of you who know how to recite this. This mantra is very, very, very precious for all of us, you, me, for everyone. And as we recite this, we need to remember the meanings of these words. Of course, we're going to study along this session and the next session. We'll say this together. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato hyavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham dathagato hyavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham dathagato hyavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye swaha. The meaning of the mantra. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well as taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear-light, non-composite. Such is nectar-like Dharma I've discovered, finding no one who can fathom this teaching in silence I'll return to the woods. Beyond utterance, thought, and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unceased, and has the nature of space. Is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas, or 3 times of your obeisance. All composite things are impermanent. All contaminated things are the nature of suffering. All phenomena are the nature of emptiness and selflessness, transcending sorrow is peace. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha, the Guru is the source of everything wholesome. I go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, you liberate all beings of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain and give teachings until the end of the expanse of billions of eons. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of suchness that the beings are liberated. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered miseries glow. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Let us turn to page, I think, 39. There should be like just a Heart Sutra. Let's see what is there in 31. Okay. Yes, okay, that's auspicious. We'll recite this. The praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the full destroyer, completely perfected, full awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct. Sugata, Lord of the world, supreme God of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the complete and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subdued from the Shakya clan, I prostrate me, offerings and go for refuge. When, O supreme amongst humans, you are born on this earth, you paced of 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who arise, then I prostrate. With the pure body's form, supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that bases in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like a spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Just be like you, the 2 worlds are not, incomparable wise one, to you I prostrate. the Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, a filled of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you that the Tathagata I prostrate, a purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime pure reality, to the Dharma that pacifies I prostrate. Those who are liberated and also show the path to liberation, wholly feel qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you the Sangha I prostrate. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue mind thoroughly, this is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud, see conditioned things as such. Through these merits may ascension beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the four faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Okay, now we'll recite the Heart Sutra mantra 7 times together. Te Om Gade Gade Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswaha Tyatha Om Gate Gate 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 Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswaha. Okay.
What am I looking for?
Okay. Yes, we'll do this. The 3 verses together, taking the expression Bodhisattva vow. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please be here to me. Just as previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwelt in the Bodhisattva predecessors, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully follow the Bodhisattva predecessors. Okay, let's go up, go up, let's go up. Repeat the 2 last lines, the 2 last verses. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please be here to me. Just as the previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwell in the Bodhisattva predecessors, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mind of bodhicitta, and I shall have true successful follow the Bodhisattva predecessors. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please be here to me. Just as the previous Buddhas have generated the amount of bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwell in the bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the amount of bodhicitta, and I shall to successfully follow the bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please be here to me. Just as the previous Buddhas have generated the amount of bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwell in the bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the amount of bodhicitta, and I shall to successfully follow the bodhisattva practices. Oh, you good? Okay. So in continuation from where we left last time, the teaching of the Buddha, we should keep in mind that the purpose for all these teachings is twofold, and these two, the purposes or the benefits, whether believer or non-believer, it doesn't matter. This is a fact that everybody is running away from the fears, and everybody is trying to embrace the maximum happiness. So this is what we learned last time. And what we also said was that what we call as the getting away from the fears of life, the miseries of life, the freedom from the miseries of life, in a vernacular sense, this is what everybody seeks, to get away from miseries. And in technical sense, this is known as nirvana, a state or a state of freedom from all the miseries. And then on the other hand, we have we try to embrace the maximum happiness. And this happiness, again, this in a very simple secular terms, everybody's seeking happiness, but in technical term, we call it Buddhahood, full awakening, where your seat of perfection is awakened fully. So this is what we learned earlier. And given that there are two goals, and we also said that these two seeds are within us, and if these two wonderful seeds are there, why we can't see these two seeds inside us? It's because that these two seeds are blocked by the mental defilements. So given that there are two seeds there must be two, say, the kinds of mental defilements. One which blocks nirvana or the fearlessness is known as afflictive obscurations, and the other which blocks your infinite happiness or Buddhahood is known as cognitive obscurations. This is also what we learned before. And how to get rid of this, how to get rid of these two mental defilements so that the seed inside us, the seed of perfection, become manifest, is by applying the remedies. And what kind of remedies to apply? One, and let's say the determination is required, and the actual medication is required, actual medicines are required. And the actual medicine, from what we're going to learn in these texts, and more precisely from what the Buddha taught in the second eternal will of Dharma, from what Acharya Arya Nagarjuna taught in the fundamental wisdom of the middle way, from what Acharya Chandrakirti taught in the supplement to the middle way, we see that finally the remedy lies in what is known as the wisdom of emptiness, or wisdom of emptiness / dependent origination. And this is the remedy. But this remedy, how effective that is determined by your motivation. How effective is the axe to cut the poisonous tree is determined by the willpower. So there are some people who just seek to get rid of the afflictive obscurations, mental defilements, the first kind. For this, the determination required, the willpower required, or the determination or the motivation required is what is known as renunciation, desire to be freed from miseries. This is technically referred to as renunciation. As long as you have the renunciation and then you apply this remedy, the wisdom of emptiness, you will be freed from all fears of life. This one part. Whereas if you are somebody who wants to attain the full awakening or infinite happiness for yourself and for all beings, then the willpower must be much, much more much greater willpower is required. That willpower is to the determination to get rid of your mental defilements completely. The determination to become the fully awakened being. That is technically referred to as bodhicitta. So what we require is that the same on the remedy, which is the wisdom of emptiness, wisdom of dependent origination, when complemented, when driven by the force of renunciation, it takes you to attain nirvana. Whereas if one is driven by the force of bodhicitta, it not only makes you to attain nirvana, you also attain Buddhahood. So, it entirely depends on the individual. So let us keep in mind that in all these what we are learning, let us not take these on, let's say, through blind faith. If you take these things through blind faith, then naturally what happens is that your mind will become so biased and not at all objective, and because of which you will never ever see emptiness. If you don't see emptiness, because emptiness is an extremely refined, say, the concept, and for this your mind must be extremely agile, and your mind must be the extremely dexterous, so refined to go into the nuances, extremely subtle nuances. For that, our mind must not be blinded by the blind faith. It must not be obscured by the blind faith. In other words, we must be equipped to see the reality as it is. So that is the wisdom of emptiness. Okay. So with this, there are two things here. One is the four seals, and on the other hand, we have the teaching on dependent origination sutra on dependent origination. And sutra on dependent, for your information, sutra on dependent origination, there are, let's say, the several kinds. So two of them. One is a shorter one, and the other one is also known as the Rice Seedling Sutra, Śālistambasūtra. And there is also a sutra on dependent, which is a detailed exposition on what constitutes dependent origination. Whereas what we are doing is the shorter one, which is just explaining the benefit of this mantra. E dharma hetu prabhava hetum desham tathagata hevatat desham chayo niruta evam vadi mashramane soham. And before we go to explain this, we need to be exposed to what is known as the four seals. Four seals. This is so important. And once the explanation of the four seals is done, then this mantra becomes extremely clear and very meaningful. And I would highly recommend that whenever we travel to different places, for example, by aeroplane, and from the aeroplane down, we see that the millions of human beings and the trillions and trillions of the insects, animals in the ocean, on the land can be seen. And you recite this mantra, knowing the meaning on the basis of the four seals, you recite the mantra for them. And you just imagine that you are spreading spreading this this mantra, the teaching of the Buddha, in the form of this mantra to all the beings. And of course, all of us, we have our own experience when we travel. Sometimes is my personal experience. When I travel, I come to some places where you can conjecture that the people in this place, not even a single person has heard dependent origin, the word dependent origination. Not even a single person has heard the universal compassion, the word universal compassion, bodhicitta, wisdom of emptiness. So from that point of view, I feel that each one of us, we have the moral responsibility. Eventually you come to realize that all sentient beings, they are so kind that you have the responsibility. Not in a very naive sense, but in the ways that I can become Buddha only by dependence on other beings. I can achieve this. I can be, I become competent to remove the mental defilements, to activate this seed of perfection within myself only by dependence on all the other sentient beings. And because of which all other sentient beings, they become so kind to me. I should be grateful to them. I'm extremely grateful to them. And this is what is bound to happen when we practice bodhicitta. So with this in the mind, so you naturally, just as the mother feels the moral responsibility to help the child to grow, likewise each one of us will feel the responsibility as your compassion grows, responsibility to help all the other sentient beings. And given that all these millions of people underneath you, from the aeroplane or in the car or in the train, and then the trillions and trillions of the fish in the ocean and in the forest, trillions and trillions of insects, wild animals, and the non-human spirits, they're all suffering terribly. And we can feel that it is my moral responsibility to share this teaching of the Buddha to all the beings, so that they can be liberated from suffering, so that they can expand the circle of their happiness. Okay. So this is the benefit of the essence of dependent origin mantra, Ye Dharma mantra, which is going to explain later on. And so meanwhile, I'm going to quickly explain the four seals. And the four seals, yes, we can explain this in a very technical sense, in a very mechanical sense, very intellectually, but we have to intellectual inquiry, intellectual understanding of the four seals is extremely quintessential. But at the same time, the know how to apply this in your own life, for yourself, for other beings, this is equally important. Sometimes things can become a little dry intellectual inquiry, and it should not remain as a dry intellectual inquiry. And of course, it doesn't mean that, for example, I'm saying that it must not be left on the dry intellectual level. It doesn't mean that I become enlightened the very next day, but this is how we have to take steps. Say you are like 10% good today and 90% not really something good in it. Then from 10%, if you can improve to 20%, 30%, 40%. If not, say the 10% to say 15%, then 16, 17. If not, 10 to 11, 12. If not, 10 to 10.1. Progress must be the aim. So this will happen only through the seeing the complementarity of the two. One, the studying these technical concepts, intellectual, enriching your intellectual rigor, intellectual inquiry, and on the other side, seeing how that can be applied to one's own mind, to one's own life. Okay, the four seals. When we learn the four seals, it's so important that that we need each of the four seals. And then number two, we need to learn how they are linked to each other. Not just like, okay, the first line means this, second line means this. That's it. No, there's a reason why these four are put in this particular order. And now we have, I think, 3 more sessions. Today, 2 sessions, and then 2 more sessions, and the next Saturday. So total, we have like 3.5. Okay, The four seals, in the first place, it is referred to as the teaching the four seals. Why these four lines are referred to as the seals is that anybody, say usually people when they come to me, and some of my friends who are really connected to me because of their interest in the Dharma, when they bring their friends, or when I meet them along with their friends, they will say, oh, I would highly recommend you to go to Tibet House. Tibet House for what? To attend his teachings. I said, don't make things very boring, right? Go to Tibet House to learn teachings. Don't go to Tibet House for Dharma class. Don't make it boring. I say, come to Tibet House for a cup of tea. See, in other words, what I'm saying is that anybody, say you meet with the person, not necessarily that person should be, should be interested in Dharma. So, so when somebody says that, okay, my practice is not going along well, what practice should I do? Or I'm interested in, I have so much stress, I want to learn Dharma. When people come up with these ideas, first thing is that I make it a point that I know what the person is seeking. That's so important. Besides the two main aspirations, everybody is seeking fearlessness and everybody is seeking maximum happiness, for sure. Let's not forget that part. But at the same time, the person comes to you, what's the purpose? And if the person says that, okay, I'm hungry, then give him a piece of bread and that's finished, or a cup of tea. And the person, if I'm sick, I have, let's say that I have the COVID, then treat the person and in the best way medically. And if somebody says, I have, let's say, cold problem, then give some paracetamol, or citizen, and so forth. So what the person needs, that is to be given. Now, if somebody comes that, oh, in my life, financially, I'm okay, I can survive, I have enough to survive myself, but I'm interested, they say want something long-term, say where my mind should not be affected by external factors, where my happiness is sustainable. If this is your aspiration, then the Buddha said the four seals, these four lines of the teaching, for you to attain that. And why these four lines are referred to as these seals? Because anybody who seeks total fearlessness, not temporary fearlessness, but total fearlessness, then there's no way other than to follow these four lines. So it is like, say, when a building is sealed by a government, which means that nobody's allowed to touch it. It should be kept as it is. Likewise, say these four teachings are like metaphorically, the Buddha's seal them, saying that if you are looking for the lasting happiness and lasting fearlessness altogether, then there's no choice other than to follow these four lines, teachings of the four lines. So it is metaphorically, it is sealed, saying that no exception, whether you are a monk, nun, whether you are a big scholar, no scholar, rich, poor, male, female, or so whatever gender, Easterner, Westerner, from planet Earth, or so from some other planets, and there's no exception. These four lines are to be practiced if you seek, total fearlessness. Whereas if you don't seek total fearlessness, then it's fine. You don't have to follow these four lines. Okay, so it's up to you. If you seek infinitely, lasting fearlessness, where all your miseries become zero, if this is what you're seeking, then the four lines must be followed in your practice. Okay, there were the four lines. All composite things are impermanent. All contaminated things are self-nature. Everything is the nature of emptiness, selflessness. Transcendent sorrow is absolute peace. Four lines. The first line, all composite things are impermanent. This explains how they say how the universe, which according to physics is constituted of atoms, electrons, protons, neutrons, so forth. These are referred to as the building blocks of the universe. And I say the mind, which physics, neuroscience does not really, they say they explain, touch. They do not touch this. The mind, even the mind is also a composite phenomenon. The world is also a composite phenomenon. So all what is composite should necessarily be following the principle of impermanence. And impermanence, we see it on two layers, the gross and the subtle. Gross and subtle. Gross means say impermanent phenomena, which impermanent phenomena whose continuum comes to an end. Impermanent phenomena whose continuum comes to an end. This is known as gross impermanence. For example, let's say that my mom, so she was there. I was just in the height of joy and happiness, sense of security for the first 5 years of my life, in the presence of my mom and my dad. And then in 5 years, this young boy, this mother was the embodiment of, embrace, embodiment of compassion, embodiment of love, and is gone. Gross impermanence. Gross impermanence. And of course, I'm sure that amongst us here, there are some who lost their near and dear ones, and very painful. And because that I already had my own experience of the gross impermanence. And yes, in fact, very recently, just yesterday, I met somebody who lost her husband, and I'm feeling a huge vacuum in her life, and I could feel it. I really sympathize, and I told her that that we need to, say when we talk about the success in a mundane sense, success, and there are two levels. One is very mundane success, and the other the transcendental success, supramundane success. What is mundane success? So she had her husband and the children there, and your children, they grow, then they're well educated, then they become they settled in their career, then they get married, they have the children, then the parents are very happy. This is the mark of success. And the two parents, they are very friendly, harmonious, and the parents' relationship is also very harmonious. This is the mark of success in the mundane sense. And she had that. She still has that. That's amazing. But still, she could feel a huge vacuum in her life because of the loss of her husband. Extremely painful. So I told her that, okay, with the mundane success, this is a maximum. You cannot go beyond this, mundane-wise. Mundane-wise, say the people who just got married, they would just think of all these things. They have the children go to study, they get settled, and then they have their family. This is what they are, and they think of that is the height of what they call a success. But now, you already reached that. And then still you see that there's vacuum there. Yes, that's very true. Mundane success, by the very definition, is mundane, which means that it is very trivial. It's very small. How do you know it's small? Because once you reach that level, still there's a vacuum there, vacuum left. So I told her that now it is your responsibility to take all the family members to the second level of the success. That is, where you can have the maximum happiness, but the pain is made zero, no pain. Where your happiness is maximum, total fearlessness, no pain. So this is what we have to do. And yes, she's doing a course in Buddhist philosophy. And I said that it is your responsibility. Yes, she's doing so good. Because of that, even her children who are so successful in mundane sense, they're also now joining these courses of the Buddhist philosophy, psychology, and so forth. So this is how you should be able to taking them to the second level of the success, where the success is very stable and it is lasting, where there's no fear at all. The fear is gone rid of altogether, and the happiness is maximum. This is what I told her. So this is for all of us same. And what I'm sharing with you is about with the mundane success, it's transitory. Again, it comes to an end. Say your youth. I say the youth ends in old age. Good health ends in fragility and the ill health. And the wealth, accumulation of wealth, the richness ends in, say, the exhaustion of wealth. Gathering ends in separation. This is the law of the nature. This is the law of the nature. So these are all the indication of the gross impermanence. And the Buddha very clearly in the Dhammapada Sutra, Buddha very clearly indicated some examples of what constitutes the gross impermanence. It says that I've given several examples of the several examples of impermanence. Okay, I'm checking. Okay, yes, it says it's taken out from Vajrachaitaka Sutra, Dhammapada Sutra. It says a star, a visual aberration, a flame of lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such, see impermanent things as such. In Japan, it is karma rabri mamenda, yuma silba chuboda, milam lodan tidamba, dvijeshunam tidarata. This is what Buddha himself taught. And for example, the great teachers like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, before giving the teachings, before sitting on the throne from which he gives the teachings, he would make prostrations to the throne, to say that visualizing the Buddha actually as the main teacher, and then they say, since that the teacher is going to sit on the throne, and he would recite this verse, karma remembering the impermanence. Okay, this is very important. And inner life, the inner life, the reflection of the impermanence. This is very important. Gross impermanence, the subtle impermanence. Reflecting on the gross impermanence, yes, particularly those of us who hit, say, 30s, time flies so fast, and then hitting 40s, not only time flies fast, you got to feel from your body that your body, the agility disappears. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Yes, agility disappears. 30, you hit 30, you don't feel the agility disappears. You still have the agility, but the time flies so fast. Then hitting 40, then not only time flies so fast, your body agility disappears. Hitting 50s, suddenly you wouldn't believe that, okay, so now it is, what happened? It's already 50. Is it that I already hit 50? Okay, quite scary though, quite scary. Okay, the point is that these reflections, if you feel scared to realize that I'm hitting, each one of us, we're hitting 40s, no, 50s. Then don't let it go unused. In other words, even this reflection, realization that I'm hitting 50, now the how many more, the quality of life, lifespan I'm left with. So there, think of impermanence. Think of how best to use this remaining part of my life. This is so important. Reflect on the gross impermanence. Then subtle impermanence. That whatever is a composite phenomenon, not only that you should realize only after 50 years that, okay, now what happened to my life? Only after 40 years, now my body is losing the agility. At 30 years, that my life is going so fast. A subtle impermanence is where one's realization becomes more profound and deeper, to the extent that you see that every moment of the composite phenomena, they're running so fast. Like, I say, the timer. When you press the timer, when you press the stopwatch, how it moves so fast. Say 1 second split into 10 divisions, 1 second split into 100 divisions. See how fast it moves. This is how all the composite phenomena then they move. Okay, let's say that I'm now 55 years old, and if I keep my hand like this, you will not see that it's moving. It's sort of very static. And if I don't talk to you, I just sit like this. It's as though like I'm just not moving. No, I'm moving, because that this person who is now the 55, say day when he was born till now, this change happened. This change happened, for example, like say the in my hands, the texture, the complexion, everything is changing year by year that I could feel. So this change happens not over time. It's not over time. And how many agree with me that this change is not overnight? It's not overnight change. Raise hands. Year by year, month by month, week by week, day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute, second by second, millisecond by millisecond, nanosecond by nanosecond is changing. And what I would suggest, not only to you, to myself also, that if possible, to remember, not just intellectually know things, intellectually live there. What you intellectually learned, try to reflect on this. Just take your time. You can do retreat, 1 day retreat, 2 day retreat on impermanence. Okay, do your whatever, say daily practice, do it well, get up a little early in the morning, and cut off stay away from the mobile, all the social media, stay away from this, and then stand, do it like a day retreat. If you have a weekend, long weekend retreat, or 2 day retreat, or 1 day retreat on impermanence. Just whatever intellectually you've learned, that okay, I'm now this age. So the last 50 years, last 40 years, 30 years, I remember, just go back in time when I was 40 years, when I'm 30 years, when I'm 20 years, 10 years, when I'm 5 years, just go back in time. Oh, there's such a change there, change of time. We are all these people who I knew when I was 5 years old. We are all the people who I knew when I was 10 years old, 20 years old, when I was in college, when I was looking for the job. We are all these people. Many of them, you have no clue where they are. And some of you, for sure, they already passed away. And the elders, many of them already passed away. So this is how we reflect on, and then see that the change that happened to me now, which is very different from what I was 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago. So this change did not happen overnight. It happened year by year, month by month. Just go, make it smaller, year by year, month by month, day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute. Second by second. Then when it comes to second by second, yes, second by second change is happening. Then millisecond. Nanosecond so fast. This is extremely important. This is known as analytical meditation. You just keep reflecting on these, say from the larger span of time to shorter. We'll realize that a feeling will come to you that things are moving so fast. And if you continue to reflect like this for about like a week, for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, a week, then you'll come to get a feeling that even the walls, which otherwise seem so steady, they are seen as like vibrating. This is what is bound to be experienced. It's so precious. And once you start to feel this, and then you see that your life will become very purposeful. You'll do those things which are really meaningful, and you will stay away from the trivialities of one's life. Okay, this is the meaning of all composite things impermanent. The next, all contaminated things are suffering nature. So once we realize that all composite things are impermanent, including your body, your mind, and your friends, your family members, once you realize there's gross impermanence, subtle impermanence, both. Once you realize this, then particularly on the subtle level, that things are moving so fast. With your body, with your mind, yourself, your family members, the world, how fast they are moving. When you realize this, then you will see what the Bodhisattva Shantideva said. Many of our afflictions, attachment, anger, jealousy, and so forth, they'll naturally subside. Because let's say that I like cheesecake. The last 2 years of COVID, I did not get the chance to get cheesecake. Now I must not miss the cheesecake. So there's so much of attachment to the cheesecake. And if you meditate on impermanence of the cheesecake, meditate on impermanence of the person who feels attached to the cheesecake, meditate on impermanence of the hand, which is otherwise going to grab at the cheesecake, and meditate on the mind, which drives the hand to grab at the cheesecake. Impermanence of each of these, then, as Bodhisattva Shantideva very clearly indicated in the Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, that so what impermanent phenomena? What is there to be attached to? For impermanent phenomena to feel attached to the another impermanent phenomena, because the idea is that, let's say the cheesecake. The moment I say cheesecake, I want this cheesecake, which means you've already targeted your mind to a specific cheesecake. I say cheesecake of time 1, T1. By the time your hand reaches out there, that T1 cheesecake is gone. It's a T2 cheesecake. T2 cheesecake is older than T1 cheesecake. It's already gone. And the hand which your mind has given instruction to go to get it. This hand, T1 hand, is already gone. That hand which reaches there is T2, which is older than the fresh hand 1. And the mind which gave the instruction, the mind, T1 mind, which gave the instruction is already gone. The moment the hand reaches there, that mind which gave the instruction is gone, another mind has come. So if you reflect on this, this is a very powerful meditation, impermanence. So it's for this reason that it is said that for Buddha, the teaching on impermanence is the supreme of all the teachings. And the metaphor given was that just as a footprint of the elephant is the most majestic, the reflection on the impermanence is the most important. And the reason why, this being the case, the Buddha, it is said that the first teaching the Buddha gave was teaching on impermanence, and the last teaching the Buddha gave before assuming Mahaparinirvana was also the teaching on impermanence. So teaching on impermanence is so important. And so this first part. So with this, when we see things are moving so fast, extremely fast. And in fact, just before I came here, I was in Oxford. Before that, I was in Cambridge, England. And 16 years ago, I was in Cambridge. And even after that, I went there deliberately on to see the college where I was affiliated, Girton College. I went to see them. And then the 16 years ago, I was just in my 30s. And I was there as a fellow in Girton College. And then they call it the potters. Potters, they're the administrators. They're very powerful, the potters. I still remember that I was in my 30s, and the potters, they must be in their 50s. And I used to see them as very old, very powerful. Yes, very powerful. And this time, after 16 years, I again went there to meet my long-term friends, and then went to Girton College, and just to see around. And the potters were there, and the potters there. I was thinking about it, and the potters, they were younger than me. Okay, so this is impermanence. This is impermanence. That now those potters 16 years ago, they already retired. Now new potters came, and then which means it's my time to retire also, because now they were younger potters there. Yeah, they were just staring at us. Who are these people who came to the Girton College? So they must not be aware that we were here 16 years ago. Okay, this impermanence, this is extremely, say, in a way, it can give, like I say, at times when you reflect on such things, it can give you a feeling of a little bit of pain, nostalgic. This is a mixture of all feelings coming. At the same time, let's not forget, this is reality. Whether whether it is painful or not, but this is reality. All composite things are impermanent. Let's not forget it. And when people come to ask for the requesting me to do some prayers for them, for the late the family members and so forth, and while I'm consoling them, keep in mind that the person who consoles is also impermanent. We should not forget it. Keep in mind that I'm also impermanent. But of course, if I tell them, don't worry, I'm also impermanent, you're impermanent, then it will make the scenario much worse. So just to console them, don't worry, things are like this. This is just explain, just uplift them mentally, emotionally. And meanwhile, I should not forget that I'm also impermanent. Each one of us, this is how we have to be aware of. Okay, so with this, the question which is bound to come to us is if all these composite things move so fast, as fast as the second hand of the watch, as fast as the digits of the timer, watch stop, and so forth, move so fast. It's like that we're moving in a very fast moving train. Then one question that is bound to come to us is that where is this train, very fast express train, taking us? This next question. If it moves so fast, where is it taking us? What is the destination? So look at the train, as simple as that. Look at the train, very fast moving train. If somebody picks you up and throws you into the fast moving train, you will be so scared. And what would be your first question? Where this train may be taking me? Where is this train taking me? To where? This is your question. And if you know that, who decides where this train is taking me? Who decides? The train driver decides. If the train driver is your mom or is your dad, no doubt this train will take you to a picnic spot. But if the train driver is the terrorist, or under the sway of the terrorist, no doubt that this train will take you to a slaughterhouse. So in our case, this very fast moving mind, fast moving body, where is this heading towards, taking us? That's determined by the train driver like your mind. And is this mind per se is not bad, it's not terrorist, but this mind is under the sway of the terrorists, two terrorists, self-grasping ignorance and self-centered attitude. As long as our mind is under the sway, under the control of these two demons, self-grasping ignorance, self-centered attitude, this mind will only take us to miseries. This is the meaning of the second seal. All contaminated things are of suffering nature. The worst of the contaminations is the contamination of the ignorance, self-grasping ignorance, complemented by this self-centered attitude. This is the worst of the contamination. As long as our mind is contaminated by this self-grasping ignorance, it will only take us to miseries. This meaning of all contaminated things are of suffering nature. Misery like what? This is so important for us to reflect on. This is so important. I remember 16 years ago when I was in Cambridge, and my friend, one of my friends there, he has nothing to do with Buddhism. He was actually expert on gun. Of course, he doesn't handle gun, but he's expert. He teaches, how to use guns, and he also writes articles on guns. But he, as a person, very gentle person. And one day, he asked me, Dorji, just tell me the Buddhism essence. So I was totally inexperienced. If today he asked me, when I went there a few days ago, somehow several years ago, I got a sense that he already moved to somewhere else, and I don't know where he is now. Yes, I missed him. And so he asked me, he has nothing to do with Buddhism. It's just out of our friendship that he asked me, tell me something about Buddhism. So totally inexperienced, I talked directly about, say, the impermanence, suffering. And he said that after 5 minutes of teaching, he said, Dorji, can I stop you for a minute? I said, yes. He said, then Dorji, in the West, never ever teach on impermanence and suffering. This is what he said. This is what he said, and then I just felt as though like something's wrong with me. He said that never ever teach impermanence and suffering in the West. And he said, do you know why? That in Cambridge city center, no doubt there are car accidents happening. No doubt, you say, the injuries happen, deaths happen on the road. But within 5 minutes, believe it or not, within 5 minutes, all the blood stains will be removed, and the next person comes is as though like nothing happened. Everybody's feared. Everybody's scared of thinking of death, thinking of injuries and so forth. This is what he told me. I agree with him. I agree with him to a great extent. So, but for us, why on these two teachings, all composite things impermanent, all contaminated things are suffering nature, why these two are so important is because that we think of beyond this life. We think of revolutionizing our thinking, because by staying within the confines of the ordinary people's thinking, we end up in miseries. One day we are bound to face with these challenges. When this happens, we are not prepared. We're bound to be shocked, and which is going to be extremely, extremely, extremely agonizing and depressing. So we think of these now, and with awareness that there's a freedom from these miseries. If you don't think about this, we never think about the freedom, ultimate freedom. And whereas everybody, there's the instinctive and the aspiration within each one of us, whether or not we can articulate that, we all seek the lasting fearlessness. Okay, so what kind of sufferings are there? All contaminated things are suffering nature. What kind of sufferings? And sufferings like sickness, aging, death, the fear of COVID-19, and so forth. These things are there. And it's very scary. It's very painful. It's a reality. And the suffering of losing near and dear ones. And as I said earlier, I used to meet a lot of people who go through a big vacuum in their life after losing their very affectionate mother, children, husband, wife, and so forth. And extremely painful to see, see them, and I just like to, sit with them and see what I can do to heal them. Which means that this is so painful. And of course, we, in our life, we go through, I say the parents would have so much of, I say, the aspirations, the plans for the children, and the children have their own plan, their careers of their life and so forth. And then you look around, we go for parties, picnics, celebrations, birthday parties, festivities, so forth, all these things. And when you go out, we put a facade of being nice, facade of being, I say the very appealing. This is what we do. But I say to be very honest, one moment of a tragedy is good enough. One moment of what we call a suffering, misery. Tragedy is good enough to nullify all the past experiences of the wonders, celebrations, birthday parties, and the festivities, merriments, and so forth. One moment is good enough. This is what I say one of my friends who once they shared with me that we're sitting together, and he said that, so now I don't know what survives me. I don't know what survives me. For me, living is just totally meaningless. And I said, why? What happened? And he said that I lost my mother just a year ago. And then I'm just surviving for the sake of survival. That's it. No purpose in my life. And he said that when I see people walking, I see just a bunch of ashes moving, because he was so close to his mother, and his mother passed away perhaps when he was in his late 40s. The mother passed away in his own, arms, and then he was there for the cremation of the mother's body. And he could see that the mother who was so loving once become a corpse, once become just a bunch of ashes. So he felt that life is totally meaningless. So what I'm saying is that one moment of such a tragedy is good enough to nullify all the past moments of the merriments, wonders, festivities, parties, picnics, and so forth. Okay, how many of you agree with me that yes, that's very true? It happened to me also. Raise hands. Okay, let us not forget this. Let's not forget this. But when it comes to young children, age 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, young adults, right? Let us be a little sensitive. So for me nowadays, when people come, I meet with the other people from different age groups. I don't directly teach them impermanence, suffering nature, and so forth. I just talk to them. First thing is give affection, give love and affection. This is number one thing. Then see what is the person's main interest. main interest, and then on that in that line, how can we, let's say the whatever understanding, whatever the contribution, in whatever way you can contribute to the person's thinking in that particular line, then alongside I also give them some kind of tips. For example, like my own, say the nephews, nieces, and so forth, when they go into the line of say the career. Yes, whatever advice to be given, give. Plus, okay, once your life is settled with the job, family, and so forth, then think of more lasting, say the approach for a more stable, sustainable peace of mind, which means they thinking about the reality more, where the composure of your mind is sustained, is not prone to, say, the fluctuation into acute happiness to acute pain and so forth. How to maintain a very stable life, to really find a deeper meaning of life. So this is what I used to suggest. So in other words, what I'm saying is, one moment of the misery, suffering, acute tragedy is good enough to nullify all the past wonders. Okay. Then when will this stop? When will this travel with these pains? When will these pains stop? This next question. This question. Say 2021. Whether we like it or not, it stopped on its own. Let's say your youth, even though you crave for this youth, it stopped on its own. Likewise, when will these miseries stop on their own? This is the next question. Unfortunately, they will never stop on their own until we put effort. Impermanence does not mean that something will automatically come to an end one day. No. Impermanence, there are three kinds. Impermanent phenomena which invariably comes to an end of its continuum. Impermanent phenomena whose continuum will invariably come to an end is one category. Second category, for example, okay, one category, this like your youth, the wealth, your life, the beautiful sunset, and the fun of cheesecake, and so forth. These are all invariable come to an end. The second category of impermanent phenomena, which never comes to an end no matter what you do. For example, your mind. Your mind is impermanent, yet it never comes to an end on its own. It never comes to an end, no matter what you do. It'll never come to an end, yet it is impermanent. Let's not forget it. Likewise, the self, the person, never comes to an end, no matter what you do. And this person, it is impermanent. It is impermanent. It lasts forever, but it's impermanent. So the second category of impermanence is impermanent phenomena which never stops, like your mind, like time, like the person. For example, let's say quantum mechanics, or according to the Big Bang theory, it says that the time begins from singularity. Before that, there was no time. And physics, the quantum physicists, they have divergent views. Some say that it's not a single Big Bang, it's a multiple Big Bang. Some say it's a single Big Bang. There is a split in the opinion. So the time is impermanent phenomena which never comes to an end. Self, the person, is impermanent phenomena which never comes to an end. And your mind is impermanent, which never comes to an end. And from the point of view of physics, let's say the atoms, electrons, protons, the matter at the most can change to energy. but energy of the matter never annihilate altogether. It is impermanent, yet it lasts forever. This is second category. Third category of impermanent phenomena is impermanent phenomena which will never come to an end on its own unless and until we put effort. Third category of impermanent phenomena is impermanent phenomena which comes to an end when we put an effort to bring an end to it, otherwise it perpetuates. For example, your ignorance, your miseries, your samsara, they will never come to an end unless until we put concerted effort to bring an end to this. Okay, so because of this, the second line of the four seals, second seal said, all contaminated things are suffering nature. So when will this suffering nature stop? When will this suffering stop? It will never stop on its own until and unless we put an effort. It belongs to the third category of impermanent phenomena. What kind of effort is required? What kind of effort is required? Okay. For this, the last time, I vaguely remember that we did this exercise. I asked you for advice by creating a scenario where I live in a flat in Delhi, which is a dry weather, and I'm on the third floor, and yet because of the moisture in the house, I have asthma. And what advice would you give? Give to me to remove the asthma? I'm just creating a story. It's not true. So some said that, oh, open the window, then keep things dry when it is a little moisture, dry this, or buy a dehumidifier, or move the house, do exercise, go to hospital. So many different advice were given to me. And the one person said that, okay, first, before I give you any advice, I will check why this moisture is happening. You are in a dry place, not underground, not ground floor or not the basement, but the third floor. There should be no reason why the water should come from the floor. No reason. It must be from somewhere. There must be a source. So I will track the source of this. Tracking the source of this, you see that the pipeline, there's a crack there in pipeline. From there, a little bit of water is constantly coming out. That creates the moisture in the house. So finding the root cause of this problem, you buy just for 10 rupees, or let's say 20 rupees, which is like 10 American cent, buy a glue. In India, we call it M-seal. Buy the glue and put it there just in 10 cents or 20 Indian rupees, 20 rupees. We fix the problem stops. Here's the asthma problem stops. You don't have to go for all this expensive the approaches. So likewise, how to stop these miseries altogether? How to stop this misery? By putting a wise approach, by putting a wise effort. What kind of effort? The cause of all your miseries, search for track the root cause. And the root cause we discovered the last time we did that, what Nagarjuna said. Ceasing of karmas and afflictions is nirvana. Karmas and afflictions arise from the conceptualization of the inappropriate attention, which in turn arises from the elaboration of the grasping true existence. And this elaboration ceases through the wisdom of emptiness. So we studied the 5 points. I hope you all have these 5 points. Do you remember we did these 5 points last time? You remember? Raise hands those who could remember that. 5 points. Yes. Okay. If you don't remember this, I would highly recommend you to revisit the earlier recordings. Okay. Sufferings, immediate cause of contaminated karmas. Contaminated karmas immediate cause afflictions, gross afflictions. And the gross afflictions, the immediate cause is the inappropriate attention, which is seeing things in absolute terms. And then finally, the cause of this inappropriate attention is self-grasping ignorance, elaboration of self-grasping ignorance. These 5. So when you look for the root, the suffering, samsara is caused by contaminant karmas. What's the root of that? And the gross afflictions. What's the root of gross afflictions? Inappropriate attention. What's the root of inappropriate attention? Self-grasping ignorance. Okay, so from this we're able to track the root of all the sufferings. Once we identify the root of all sufferings, our job is to eradicate this. How do you eradicate this self-grasping ignorance? This is the question. So ignorance, by the very definition, is a misconception which distorts the perception of the reality. Ignorance and misperception which distorts the perception of the reality. Okay, what is wisdom then? If that is the root cause, then this ignorance must be got into by the wisdom. For example, like a darkness. In darkness is like ignorance. In dark, you don't see what you cannot read the books. You cannot see what is around you. And likewise, the ignorance blinds you from having the vision of the reality. So how to get rid of this ignorance? How to get rid of the ignorance? Look at how you remove the darkness. How you remove the darkness is by introducing the light. If you say that, oh, Buddha, please remove this darkness, I want to read the books, Buddha will be very upset. What a hopeless student. Instead, if you light a candle, Buddha will be so happy, so proud of you. Wow, this is a person who can really be liberated from suffering. And not only he or she be liberated, can liberate all other beings. Will be so happy. So just as darkness can be eradicated by introducing the light, it is only through introducing the light of the wisdom that the darkness of ignorance can be eradicated. So what is that wisdom? Wisdom, by definition, is the discerning mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with the reality. Let me repeat it. Wisdom is a discerning mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with the reality. What's the reality? So this is what the Buddha indicated as the third seal. Everything is of the nature of emptiness and selflessness. This is reality. You know this, the light of the wisdom is ignited within you. As the light of the wisdom is ignited, your ignorance is curbed. Where the ignorance is eradicated, your inappropriate attention stops, because of which your gross afflictions, like involuntary movement of your mind, stops, because of which the contaminated actions stop, because of which your miseries stop. This is how we can bring an end to these miseries. Wow, this is amazing. Then the question is, what is meant by everything's the nature of emptiness, selflessness? If this is reality, how can we understand this? This is the next question. So this takes us to the deeper study of emptiness and dependent origination. Okay. So let's say that first, let me just quickly, for the sake of explaining the 4 seals, the complete, before we go into the Sutra of dependent origination, same on the say that okay, one example is that to see the reality is to cultivate the wisdom. To cultivate the wisdom is to undermine the ignorance. Undermining ignorance is undermining the root cause of the miseries, thereby the miseries will come to an end. Like say, chopping the poisonous trees from the top, remove the leaves from the top, it's just like a short respite for you. Let's say that the wind blowing through the poisonous leaves of that tree creates skin rashes on the body, and you remove the leaves by plucking the leaves or chopping from the top. Will be respite for you. You will have a temporary relief for the next few weeks, 1 month, 2 months. Again, more leaves will grow, and again more generation will come. Wise person will uproot it. Likewise, a wise person will uproot the cause of the miseries. What's the ultimate cause of the miseries is self-grasping ignorance. How to get out of this? By introducing the counter force. What's the counter force? The wisdom to see reality. What's the reality? That the Buddha indicated everything is nature, emptiness, selflessness. What do you mean by nature, emptiness, selflessness? For this, I'm going to give you a quick example, and then we'll switch to the fourth seal. Okay, on the where say that you are watching a movie in a movie theater, and you are watching a movie on the movie is on the screen in front of you, but the movie is not coming from the screen. It is on the screen, but from the projector. How many agree with me, sense? Good. I don't know when this example will become obsolete, when the technology improves too much that the movie should come from the screen, not from the projector. Later on, the projector may go into the museum. I don't know. Okay, if that's the case, then the examples will either go back to the old examples or to create new examples. So at the moment, I give this example which is so effective. We are watching movie. The movie is on the screen, but it's not from the screen. How do we know that it's not from the screen? The moment the projector stops, the movie stops, which means the movie is coming from the projector, not from the screen. So your mind is like the projector. Just as when this projector stops for 1 second, the movie stops. And our mind, the projector of mind, this is amazing. It never stops even for a second. This projector is extremely powerful, but unfortunately not in a good sense. Because of this projection, samsara is projected. Miseries are projected, unfortunately. This is the sad point. So now our job is to see how to stop this projector from projecting the samsara. Okay, let's see that when you project when you project the movie from the projector, the movie is on the screen and you watch the movie, you enjoy this. Or there's so much of fear if it's a ghost movie. So this is exactly what is happening in the dream. How many agree with me that dreaming mind is like the projector? This is like the projector, and all the dreams are like the movies. And you are being swayed by the contents of the movie. How many agree with me, sense? In actuality, all what you are seeing, the dream, they're all just created by your own dreaming mind. That your dreaming mind is the projector. The moment this projector of the dreaming mind stops, the dream stops. Okay, what is the mind? What I need to know is that there are 5 points. Point number 1. Okay, please pay attention. And if you want, you can make note. You can quickly jot down the points. Number 1, that your mind, as you fall asleep, the mind projects the dream. Number 1. Number 2, that while your mind projects the dream, number 2, you are unaware that your mind is projecting it. Number 2. How many agree with me, sense? Very good. And some of you may think that, yes, I'm aware that sometimes I'm aware I have lucid dream. Sometimes I'm aware that my mind is okay. Keeping aside the exceptions, generally speaking, let's say the first, our mind projects the dream, number 1. Number 2, while our mind projects the dream, number 2, we are unaware that we are projecting it, number 2. Number 3, because we are unaware, we see the contents of the dream as real from the object. Let me repeat it. Because let's say that you dream of a ghost chasing you. Because that you are unaware that your mind is projecting it, you see the dream contents as objectively real. Number 3. Number 4, because you see the dream contents as objectively real, they start to create fear in you. Like dream ghosts coming to chase you. Number 5, because the dream ghost comes to chase you, you are affected. Fear, you are affected. Okay, there's one additional point, number 6. Because there's a fear, your mind reacts. Your mind reacts. Your mind reacting. This is karma. This is karma. This karma perpetuates your miseries. Okay, so let's see that you react, you start to run in the dream. Why did you run? Because this ghost is chasing me. How come that this ghost, I showed that this ghost chasing you? Yes, because it's so real there. It's so real, objective real there. What makes you think that? Because I'm not aware that my mind is projecting it. Actually, it is my projection of my own mind. So in this episode of you running from the dream ghost, what's root cause? Root cause is your mind projecting the dream ghost. Okay, how many agree with me, raise hands? Good. Now, let's say the moment finally all these problems are rooted to this, your mind projecting the dream ghost. Your mind projecting the dream ghost, this is, if somebody would ask you, what is the final meaning of samsara? What is the ultimate meaning of samsara? What is the ultimate? Okay, first I say samsara is a fear, a state of fear, or lack of freedom. Samsara is lack of freedom, or fear in a vernacular sense, of fear. What is a fear? I don't want to fear, but a fear comes. I don't have the freedom, lack of freedom. I don't have the freedom not to have the fear. Fear in any degrees, not necessarily fear means, oh, the ghost coming to chase me, target coming to, there's a fear. There's a very cursory meaning of the fear. But the fear means lack of freedom. Okay. If all these problems are created by this mind projecting the dream, then you have to stop it. But I don't have the freedom to stop this. I don't have the freedom to stop this. So involuntarily creating these dreams, involuntarily projecting things, that's the problem. That's the problem. Involuntarily creating the dreams. And the second phase, which is that you believing it to be true, believing the contents of the dream as true. Believing the contents as real is what attracts all the miseries. And your mind projecting it is on one level. That is responsible for you not becoming a Buddha. Your mind believing in that projection is what stops you from experiencing fearlessness, is what traps you in samsara. Okay, so if somebody were to ask you, what exactly is afflictive obscurations? You can say that all the mental states which are under the sway of this believing in the projection as objective real. This is afflictive obscurations. What is cognitive obscurations? You can say that just projection. The projection of things by your mind, projection of things, that is manifestation of the cognitive obscuration, or that is the cognitive obscuration. That obstructs you from attaining Buddhahood. Okay, so having said this, say you have all these dreams. If you don't want to run away from this dream goes, what should you do? Finally, we have to stop projecting the dream. How many agree with me? Raise hands. How to stop projecting the dream? Raise hands. What should you do to stop projecting the dream? Catherine, unmute.
We need to wake up.
Wake up. How many agree with Catherine? Raise hands. Wonderful. Wake up. Wake up. Okay. So, see, when you wake up, what happens is that in the dream, right? The dream disappears. Your fear dissolves. You stop running. That's amazing. You stop running. In the dream, you stop running, the fear increases. But when you wake up, you stop running, but the fear dissolves. That's amazing. But the question remains. But if you wake up, not only the dream disappears, dream Buddha also disappears. Dream law of karma disappears, right? Dream happiness disappears. Okay, so what? So okay, the one side it resolves the problem, but there is the problem coming up. Your dream compassion dissolves, right? Dream sentiment dissolve. Okay, so this is an extremely important point. This is the meaning of the transcendental happiness. This is the meaning of the transcendental happiness. Transcendental means which transcends any degree of ignorance. Where in the dream, say for example, one example that I usually give is like, how many of you like to have a dream of having audience with His Holiness the Dalai Lama? Sense. Wow, that's an amazing dream. And not only that, they said that the Shila organizes the audience with his. He said you have a dream. In the dream, Shila invites all of us participants to have audience with His Holiness, and His Holiness invites you for a cup of tea. How many of you would be so happy to have this dream? Raise hands. Wow, that is an amazing dream. My next question to you is, how many of you will have this dream tonight? Raise hands. How many of you will have this dream tonight? Raise hands. Okay, Robin, my question is, how many of you will have this dream tonight? I do not ask how many of you will like to have this dream tonight. This is not my question. My question is, how many of you will have this dream tonight? Okay. Miu Sheng, tell me why you're not going to have this dream, all of you, Miu Sheng, tell me why you're not going to have this dream tonight. This dream is so auspicious, so pleasant. Why you're not going to have this dream tonight? Why not?
I have no control over my dream.
How many agree with Miu Sheng? Raise hands. Yes. So look, dream. So pleasant dreams are there, unpleasant dreams are there. When you wake up, okay, unpleasant dreams stop. That's very good. But also the pleasant dreams stop. So there's a problem. But pleasant dream doesn't mean that it is perfect from all angles. Even the pleasant dreams has a problem. Is that the present dreams, it has some degree of, some degree of imperfection there. Some degree of imperfection. What is that imperfection? Lack of freedom. I don't have the freedom to choose the dream. How many of you agree with me? Raise hands. Good. So even the pleasant dreams, they have the element of ignorance. Seeing the dream is real and that you don't have the freedom to choose that dream. So lack of freedom is there. And you are seeking total fearlessness or total freedom. This is what he's seeking. So Acharya Chandrakirti, what he said is that the unwise people will engage in the negative karmas and undergo miseries in samsara. And the virtuous people will engage in the contaminated virtues and experience happiness in samsara. And the wise people will get out of the dream of the samsara altogether, will transcend the negativities and the negativities and the contaminated virtues also. They'll transcend, they'll go for the transcendental virtues. So, say, when you wake up, yes, when I ask this question, that not only the dream tiger stops, dream ghost stops, even the dream compassion stops, dream sentiment stop. Yes, that's true. So there, you are now transcending not only the miseries, you are also transcending the contaminated virtues. Virtues are two: contaminated virtues and uncontaminated virtues. So the virtues happening in the dream, they are contaminated because they are contaminated by ignorance, believing in the dream as real. That is ignorance. So when you wake up, you get into the uncontaminated virtues, or referred to as the transcendental virtues. Okay, we'll take half an hour break and we come back for the next session. Yes, Sheila?
No, actually, we finished. We're supposed to finish at noon. I think you had your timing confused. So we're supposed to have finished at noon today, and then we have our session next week.
Oh, in fact, in the timetable that I got says 2 sessions today.
No, I don't know about that.
Okay, then it's fine. So how much more time I have now?
Well, basically we're done now.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so the next week, how many sessions?
One more session.
One more session. Okay, then let me wind up.
Geshe, next week it's also the same time, an hour and a half.
Okay, because what I got is like, it says the 2 sessions from here in England, 3:30 to 5, and the 5:30 to what? 6:37. Okay, it's fine. So now that the next session we have to rush through. Okay, let me quickly wind up this part. Okay, so here what we said is that the seeing the reality, that everything, the third seal, which said that everything is the nature of emptiness, selflessness. When you know this reality, that wisdom is born within you. With this wisdom, that's amazing. With this wisdom, that you wake up and then your misery stops. That's amazing. But so finally, what is the ultimate goal out of this? That just as, for example, in this, when you wake up from this dream, when you wake up, let's say that the ghost chasing you stops. Likewise, your sickness, aging, death, tension, depression, anxiety, anguish, the loss of near and dear ones, all these pains, all these visions within your mind as well dissolve. In other words, all what creates agitation within your mind, all what creates disturbance within your mind, they all dissolve. And when the disturbance dissolves, what happens? Peace is restored. And this peace, given that this peace is because of the wisdom, it's not because of blind faith, this peace is extremely stable. That is known as the transcendence of sorrow. So the fourth seal says, transcending sorrow is absolute peace. This is nirvana. And when you think of this, sharing this nirvana to all other beings, you are thinking of the perfect nirvana, which is also known as non-abiding nirvana of the Buddhas. Okay, these are the 4 seals. So next session we will do the how we relate these 4 seals to the Sutra of Dependent Origination, which is ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum tesham tathagato hyavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vadi mahashramane swaha. So given that we already explained the 4 seals, now relating this to the mantra becomes very easy for us. So that's for the next session, and next session being the next week. And the questions, if Sheila, we have some time, we can do the questions. Otherwise, we will reserve all the questions to the next session.
Yes, I think we should probably put them off till next session because it's getting late. Did you want to do dedication prayers?
Yes.
Should we do that now?
Yes.
Second. Oops. Oh, wait. 1 minute.
This is not the one. This is not the one. There's another one.
Oh, wait, I had the wrong date. Wait. Sorry,
Yeah.
wrong. Here we go.
Good. Okay, let us dedicate the virtues that scattered, that His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the true source of joy and happiness on this earth, that he lives long and that his wishes be fulfilled spontaneously. Also, let us dedicate the merits that scattered, that all these learning centers of Sakya, Kaikyu, Nyingma, Gelug, and from the Chinese tradition, from the Tibetan tradition, from the Theravada tradition, all these very standard the centers of learning, they thrive in the activities of study, reflection, meditation, and that all the other centers, such as Bodhisattva Shantideva Center, New York, and all the other centers, they thrive in the activities to benefit the other sentient beings pertaining to the learning of the Dharma and practice of the Dharma. And may the COVID-19 subsides altogether, and may all those people who died to the COVID-19, may all those people who died in the Russian and Ukraine war, let us pray that they take a suitable birth, the birth of leisure and endowment to meet with the Dharma, and eventually become the factors to bring about reconciliation among all these the bordering and the countries who share the borders, and then all these countries can live in harmony, peace, and dialogue and friendship and the spirit of brotherhood and sisterhood. With this in mind, let us recite the following verses. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All powerful channels, Tens and Gyatso, please remain until Samsara ends. Just as the brave Manjushir and summoned about the true realized things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow the perfect example. I dedicate all these truths of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by all the Buddhas who appeared in 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva deeds. May the Supreme Bodhicitta that is not erased and arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I truly remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exception into that enlightened state. I dedicate the merit that scattered towards the realization of the deeds and the prayers of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of 3 times, and to the upholding the Dharma of teaching realization. May I in all lives, through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta perfectly in the 2 stages. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. By the power of practicing and supplicating to you, may all be free from sickness, poverty, and conflicts, and may Dharma and the auspiciousness proliferate in all the places where we abide. The path to union and emptiness compassion is loosely explained by the protected Buddha, Dharma, and the beings of the land of snows. With the lotus holder Tenzin Gyatso, we supplicate you that you wish us to fulfill spontaneously. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans and non-humans who harbor malice through perverted prayers against the teachings of Buddha, be truly vanquished through the power of the truth of three jewels. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing qualities of stations and paths, may equally attain the state of Vajradhara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may always speak Advaita Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and the teachings on dependent origination in particular, even in the course of my life. Okay, we'll recite the heart truth mantra 3 times together. Deyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswaha Dhyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswaha Dhyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhiswaha. Okay, thank you, Sheila. Thank you, each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you